Hey there, deep divers. You ready to maybe bend your minds a bit today?
Always.
All right, cool. Well, today we are going to dive into reincarnation
Ooh.
and specifically children who say they remember past lives.
Yeah.
So this is going to be based on the work of Dr. Jim Tucker and his book Return to Life.
Right.
And so what I find really fascinating about Dr. Tucker is he approaches this with a scientist's
Oh, yeah.
skepticism. He's not setting out to prove reincarnation,
Right.
but to investigate and just analyze evidence.
Yeah. What's interesting about his approach, I think, is he is a board-certified psychiatrist at the University of Virginia.
Right.
So he's bringing this really rigorous, evidence-based approach.
Right.
And he followed in the footsteps of Dr. Ian Stevenson,
Right.
who was kind of a pioneer in this field.
Yeah, yeah. And they both brought a lot of credibility to a subject
Yeah.
that's often dismissed as mystical or paranormal.
Yeah, exactly.
So what are some of the common threads that run through the cases
Right.
that Dr. Tucker has investigated?
One of the things that's really striking is the age at which these children start talking about their past lives.
Oh, okay.
It's usually between the ages of like 2 and 5.
Wow.
Which is remarkable in itself, but they often give really specific details
Okay.
about names and locations and relationships.
So not just like
Yeah.
vague ideas or...
Right. They're not just saying like, oh, I think I was a king,
Right.
in a past life.
Yeah.
They're giving very specific information.
Can you give me an example?
Yeah. So there's this really interesting case of Patrick,
Okay.
who was a young boy from Oklahoma
Mm-hmm.
who claimed to be the reincarnation of his mother's stillborn brother, Kevin.
Wow.
And what's so compelling about this case is that Patrick remembered all these incredibly specific details
All right.
about Kevin's short life and death.
That his mother hadn't told him.
Had never told him.
Wow. That's
It's really remarkable.
why. Okay. So he's saying that he was his mother's brother.
Yeah.
That's a pretty intense claim.
Yeah. And the details that he remembered were things like medical procedures that Kevin underwent,
Wow.
and even a distinctive birthmark that Kevin had.
Mm.
And his mother, Lisa, was just floored. She had never discussed these things with him.
Wow.
Dr. Tucker even consulted with statisticians
Oh, wow.
just to figure out, like, what are the odds of a child randomly having these very specific memories,
Yeah.
and they're astronomically low?
It's like a puzzle piece fitting perfectly,
Yeah.
but from different lifetimes.
It's true.
That's really interesting. What other cases kind of stand out?
There's this other one about Jueda, a Thai boy, who claimed to be the reincarnation of his uncle who had recently died.
Okay.
And this one is interesting because it shows just how powerful the emotional dimension
Right.
of these cases can be.
Okay. What was so unusual about Jueda?
Well, he called his grandparents mom and dad,
Mm.
just as his uncle had.
Wow.
And he had mannerisms and habits that were so similar to his uncle's that it was almost like his uncle's personality was still there, even though he was physically gone.
It really makes you wonder about identity and consciousness.
It really does. Like,
Yeah.
what part of us might persist beyond the physical body?
Right. And what does that mean for life and death?
Big question.
Big questions. Yeah. Okay, so there's another case I wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
The one with Cameron and Barra Island.
Oh, right.
This one's interesting to me because Dr. Tucker actually took Cameron
You did.
to the island to
Wow.
see if his memories were true.
Yeah, and this one kind of demonstrates just how complex memory is.
Right.
And it even raises the possibility of multiple past lives.
Oh, okay. So did his memories match up?
Well, that's where it gets interesting.
Okay.
So Cameron described this life on Barra Island,
Mm-hmm.
talked about his former family, their White House,
Okay.
even the planes that landed on the beach.
Wow.
And a lot of his memories did line up with reality,
Okay.
but some of the details were off. Like, there wasn't actually a White House.
So does that discredit him?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
It could be that his memories were a blend of real past life experiences
Yeah.
and just childhood imagination.
Okay.
Or maybe even he was tapping into fragments of multiple past lives,
Oh, okay.
like creating this composite picture in his mind.
It's like each case is a piece of the puzzle,
Yeah.
but it's hard to put it all together.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have to hear about James Leininger
Oh, yeah.
and his memories of being a World War II pilot.
This is a big one.
I know, it's always captured my imagination.
Yeah. James Leininger's case is one of the most well-known
Okay.
and meticulously documented.
Okay.
He was just this little boy
Yeah.
who started having these vivid nightmares about dying in a plane crash
Oh, gosh.
during World War II.
Wow.
And he would wake up screaming things like, airplane crash on fire.
Hmm.
Little man can't get out.
Oh, that's sad.
It's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
But he also remembered very specific details
Okay.
about his alleged past life
Okay.
that were later corroborated by historical records.
Yep.
Yeah. He named the aircraft carrier he claimed to have served on,
Wow.
the USS Matoma Bay.
Okay.
He even named a fellow pilot, Jack Larson.
Wow.
He knew specifics about the Corsair aircraft
Okay.
and even the experimental napalm bombs
Oh, wow.
that were used in the war.
Yeah, I don't think I knew anything about that when I was that age.
Right. This was information that a young boy just wouldn't have access to.
Yeah. What did his parents think about all this?
So his parents, Bruce and Andrea, were devout Christians
Okay.
with no prior belief in reincarnation.
Right.
And they were baffled by James's claims.
Yeah.
But Bruce really wanted to investigate.
Okay.
And his research uncovered this incredible evidence
Okay.
that actually validated a lot of James's memories.
Wow. So did he find this pilot, Jack Larson?
He did.
Wow.
And not only that, but he discovered that the USS Natoma Bay
Right.
was a real aircraft carrier
Wow.
involved in the Battle of Iwo Jima,
Jeez.
just as James had described.
That's amazing.
The details matched up in a way that it's hard to explain as just coincidence.
So what's Dr. Tucker's conclusion then?
Well, Dr. Tucker, being a scientist,
Yeah.
always approaches these cases with a healthy dose of skepticism.
Right.
He looks at all possible explanations.
Sure.
You know, childhood fantasies, unconscious influences,
Mm-hmm.
even paranormal phenomena.
Okay.
But in James's case, the evidence is so compelling
Yeah.
that it's really hard to explain it away conventionally.
Okay, wow. This is a lot to process.
I know.
We're going to have to take a moment.
Yeah.
And then when we come back, we'll explore the story of Ryan.
Okay.
This young boy who claimed to have been a Hollywood agent
Oh, yeah?
in a past life.
That's a good one.
Get ready for more mind-blowing stuff.
Right.
Welcome back, deep divers. We are going to pick up our exploration with the story of Ryan
Yes.
and his memories of a past life in Hollywood.
Right.
This one is super fascinating because it kind of gets into the emotional impact of these past life memories. So what did Ryan remember about this past life?
So his memories centered around Hollywood in like the
Yeah.
1930s and 40s.
Okay.
He would talk about being a Hollywood agent,
Okay.
working with famous actors and actresses, traveling on these luxurious ocean liners.
It sounds like a very different life
Oh, yeah.
than his life in Oklahoma.
Very different.
Yeah.
Rural Oklahoma.
And he almost seems like he longed for that life. It's
Yeah.
like he was homesick.
That's a really good way to put
Yeah,
it.
for a time he'd never known.
Yeah,
I know.
and you see that a lot with these cases.
Yeah.
This really deep emotional connection.
Okay.
It's not just like these superficial recollections. It's
Mhm.
tapping into these really profound feelings and
Mhm.
connections.
So did Dr. Tucker find any evidence
Yeah.
to back up these claims?
So one of the most compelling pieces of evidence in Ryan's case
Okay.
was a photograph.
Okay.
Ryan had been asking his mother, Cindy,
Okay.
to get him a book from the library about Hollywood.
Okay.
And they were looking through it together.
Mm-hmm.
And Ryan pointed to this man in a photograph
Okay.
and said, "That's me. That's who I was."
Wow. Did they figure out who the man was?
It took months of research.
Yeah.
But Dr. Tucker was able to identify the man as Marty Martin,
Okay.
a Hollywood agent who lived during the era that Ryan was describing.
And did any of Ryan's memories match up with this guy's life?
Yeah, a lot of them did.
Like what?
Like Ryan remembered things about Martin's work as an agent,
Okay.
his love of dancing,
Okay.
and his travels.
So he remembered specific things
Very specific things.
about this guy's life.
Yeah, it would have been really difficult for him to know this information.
Yeah, that's wild. Could it be that he had like psychic abilities?
That's a question that this case raises.
Yeah.
Dr. Tucker acknowledges that Ryan might have had some form of extrasensory perception
Wow.
that allowed him to kind of access information about Martin's life.
So we're talking about psychic abilities,
Potentially.
like reincarnation.
Right. It's like this intersection of these different phenomena.
Yeah, this is definitely pushing us to expand how we think about consciousness.
Absolutely. It challenges this idea that consciousness is only a product of the brain
Right.
and suggests that our minds might be capable of so much more.
So how does Dr. Tucker explain this
Well,
as a scientist?
he always emphasizes that reincarnation is not the only possible explanation.
Okay.
He considers all these other factors,
Okay.
like childhood fantasies,
Okay.
selective memory,
Hmm.
maybe even paranormal phenomena.
Yeah.
But a lot of times the evidence is so compelling
Right.
that it really stretches conventional explanations.
So keeping an open mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Following the evidence wherever it leads.
Yeah, even if it takes us somewhere we weren't expecting.
Exactly.
So you mentioned earlier that these cases challenge our views of consciousness and reality.
Mm-hmm.
Could you talk a little bit more about that?
Sure. One of the biggest questions that comes up
Yeah.
is the nature of consciousness itself.
Right.
If consciousness can persist beyond the body,
Right.
like these cases suggest,
Right.
it challenges this idea that it's just a product of the brain.
Right.
Could consciousness actually be like a fundamental force in the universe?
That's a big question.
It is a big question.
Is there any science behind that idea?
So it's interesting, there were some connections
Okay.
between reincarnation research
Mm-hmm.
and quantum physics.
Okay.
Like the double slit experiment
Yeah.
suggests that observation might actually influence reality.
Wait, so you're saying our consciousness
Yeah.
could be influencing the world?
Yeah, potentially.
That sounds like sci-fi.
I know it sounds crazy, but there's this growing body of evidence
Okay.
that suggests the observer isn't just passively watching,
Yeah.
they're actively participating in creating reality.
Okay. I'm going to need to hear more about this double slit experiment.
Okay, so basically it
Oh.
shows that light can act like both a wave and a particle,
Okay.
and how it behaves seems to depend on whether or not it's being observed.
Okay.
So when light goes through two slits
Hmm.
without being watched,
Yeah.
it creates this interference pattern,
Okay.
like it's a wave,
Okay.
but when it's observed,
Yeah.
it collapses into particles
Okay.
and only goes through one slit.
So it's like observing it changes what it is.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And this suggests that consciousness might not just be a byproduct of the physical world,
Right.
but like a fundamental force that shapes reality.
Yeah. Okay. My mind is blown. So how does Dr. Tucker connect this to reincarnation?
He uses this analogy of life as a shared dream.
Okay. Shared dream.
Yeah.
Okay. I like it. Keep going.
Like imagine that our individual consciousnesses
Mm-hmm.
are like dreamers
Okay.
within this larger collective consciousness.
Okay. I'm following you.
So in a dream,
Yeah.
we have some control.
Okay.
We make choices,
Right.
interact with others.
Yeah.
We can even influence the dream.
Yeah. But we're still kind of bound by the rules of the dream.
Exactly. And in the same way,
Yeah.
our individual free will in this life
Mhm.
might be shaped by karmic patterns
Okay.
and lessons that we've brought with us from past lives.
So it's like free will and destiny kind of working together.
Yeah, it's this really delicate dance.
I love that. Okay, so we've covered so much.
We have.
Let's take a break.
Okay.
And when we come back, we'll dive even deeper into this shared dream idea. Okay, so we've been talking about this idea of life as a shared dream
Right.
and this possibility that our consciousness keeps going
Yeah.
even after our bodies die.
It's a big idea.
It is, so where do we even go from here with this?
Well, I think if we can kind of wrap our heads around this shared dream analogy,
Yeah.
it changes how we think about life and death.
Correct.
Death isn't the end anymore.
Right.
It's more like a transition,
Okay.
like moving from one dream to another.
So then what does that mean for reincarnation?
Well, it could mean that reincarnation isn't just about coming back as a different person
Okay.
in the same world.
Yeah.
Maybe it's about experiencing different realms.
Okay, so like multiple realities, different dimensions even.
Exactly. Like there's this whole library of dreams,
Wow.
each with its own rules and possibilities.
But if we're all part of this one big consciousness,
Right.
what about free will?
That's a great question.
Do we choose our dreams?
It's something people have been debating forever.
Yeah.
But this shared dream idea doesn't get rid of free will.
Okay.
It might even make it stronger.
How so?
Well, think about it. In a dream, we have some control, right?
Yeah.
We make choices. We interact with other dream characters.
Right.
We can even change the dream.
But we're still in the dream.
Exactly.
Like limited by the rules of the dream.
Yeah. And maybe it's the same with our lives.
Okay.
Our free will is shaped by things we've brought with us from past lives.
Okay, so like karma.
Yeah, like karmic patterns and lessons.
Okay, so it's both.
Right.
It's free will and it's destiny.
This beautiful dance.
I like that a lot. But it also makes me wonder, what's the point of it all?
Yeah, that's the big question, isn't
Yeah,
it?
if we just keep going from dream to dream,
Right.
what's the purpose?
There's no easy answer to that.
Right.
But if reincarnation is real,
Yeah.
maybe it's about evolving,
Okay.
learning from our experiences,
Okay.
and making this shared dream better.
So becoming more aware,
Yeah,
more compassionate,
exactly.
and like connecting with our higher selves.
That's it. And each lifetime is a chance to do that.
It's a lot to think about.
It is.
But it's also really hopeful.
Yeah.
Like, we're not just random.
Right.
We're part of something bigger.
Much bigger.
This has been amazing. We've gone from these kids remembering past lives
I know.
to quantum physics.
Yeah.
And this idea that consciousness is like a force in the universe.
It's a lot.
If reincarnation is real, it changes everything.
It really does.
It makes you think.
For sure.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Keep those minds open. Keep asking questions.
Yeah.
And we'll see you next time.